Nice. I love it. Well, I went ahead and pushed record just now, so because I figured all the good stuff happens like right before the meeting happens, and I'm just going to capture it and edit it if I need to later.
Perfect.
Um, well, first off, Pat Rigsby, thank you so much for your time, and welcome to Engearment.com podcast. This podcast is for outdoor enthusiasts and fitness entrepreneurs and people who like to help people get outside and have a high quality of life. So to have you on the show is quite the honor. So thank you, sir.
Man, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to chat with you about everything that's going on, and hopefully I can help a little bit. So yeah, let's get into it.
Wonderful, Pat. So Pat Rigsby in the fitness industry is a very big name. Anybody who works in the industry knows who you are. They get your emails. Those emails are very, very helpful. Just this morning, your email that I got and probably thousands of people got about your willingness to help through this very unique COVID-19 situation that we're all in, of every kind of business. So let's speak a bit about that. What you're offering right now and what your kind of call to actions could be.
Gosh, what I'm personally offering, I mean, I'm to be honest, I'm just trying to solve some of the problems we're facing and help people make a really abrupt kind of move to almost a reinvention of the way that they operate. So I've got a online coaching specialist certification that Mike Robertson and I put together. Mike's an extraordinary coach and has been training online for quite some time. And man, I think we started delivering our first online training in my first business in 2005. So
Wow.
So we had put this together. We've offered it for a while and just decided, like, look, man, we're going to give it away to help people get comfortable with this. Pat Beath and I created a course called the Rapid Product Creation. If people wanted to kind of package up their intellectual property, their experience, and start to share that with people that may not necessarily have to be in the same geographic location as them. Giving that away. Before we started recording, mentioned, I've got a podcast, like, the Fitness Business School. I've been trying to post a lot of information there. And then, and then I do a daily email newsletter that you alluded to that I've been doing for about 15 years. And, try to help people through this because, ultimately, the people in the health and fitness kind of entrepreneurial landscape, I mean, and they're impacting a lot of people in a lot of different ways. I mean, this isn't just move better and feel better and look better. I mean, this is stress management. This is helping people navigate a lot of uncertainty, and so maybe they can give them a little normalcy back in their life. I mean, it's just helping people kind of be the person they need to be to help carry their family forward, carry their business forward, and really navigate what I think we'd all say are pretty uncharted waters.
Yeah, well said. And we spoke before the microphones were on. My background is being in the fitness industry for about 12 years now. I have a gym that's a studio that people go to, a gym within a law firm that people go to, and then in-home training. And then one day, 3 weeks ago, all of that stopped. And I know for a lot of people, that was a situation that they're experiencing too. And so, you put out those great resources of like, hey, you can pivot. And then, you've made this point, and I realized it the hard way that afternoon, that it didn't just affect me. It affected the people we serve. It affected the whole world, and they need help now more than ever. And so it's our job, if we really care about them, to give them that service, that stress relief, that wellness, the health, and the fitness.
Yeah, I think that we can certainly be a meaningful part of the solution. I mean, I'm not going to say for a minute we're the same type of contributor to the solution that the medical professionals on the front lines are, but I think that we can certainly improve people's quality of life when it's been disrupted, give them a sense of normalcy. I mean, I think they can feel like they at least can maintain control of their fitness and their, their well-being, when everything else maybe they don't have quite as much control over as they usually do. So
Hmm.
we can do that. We can facilitate an online community for them if we choose, if that's the type of model we operate. We can keep a lot of human connection that has been kind of stripped away abruptly. So, there are a lot of things that we can do for people, and maybe it isn't always exactly the same thing they came to us for originally.
Hmm.
But it might be more valuable. So, I think this is a really meaningful opportunity for us to serve and have an impact in a time of need.
Yeah, well said. And 3 weeks ago, I never even considered doing a Zoom meeting or a FaceTime meeting or whatever communication and technology you want to utilize, which there are plenty to use, right? And just an hour and a half ago, I had a new person, a new client, just reaching out for some help, and we used what she had in her home, and it was I could see the reaction, the need for that service, and the reward I feel from that is priceless.
Yeah, it's I think it's rewarding to be able to have that sort of impact on people, but it's also something that rewards those of us who are adaptable and are willing to evolve pretty quickly, because I kind of get to play a role in our industry where I get to interact with and see a lot of different professionals approach towards how they're navigating this, and some of them are probably a little more stubborn than others, and they're a little
Yeah.
more resistant to evolution. And I don't think that it is probably going to serve them very well. But the people who are adaptable and are quick to be problem solvers and take kind of an empathetic leadership position throughout all of this, and I think that not only are they going to be able to do a lot of good, but I think business wise on the back end of this, it's going to serve them really, really well.
I like to hear that. And you've been doing the online thing for so long. What are some of the benefits? I mean, I could think of a lot of benefits, but what are some of the benefits of having the online business?
Um, you know, from our side, the business owner, there's a lot more flexibility. Some people
Hmm.
like to use the word freedom. I tend not to, because it implies you're free from obligation or responsibility, and you still have the same responsibilities. It's just where you do them, how you do them. There's a lot more flexibility in there. So I think that sort of freedom, the maybe relief from some of the fixed overhead
Good point.
is a big one. The ability to serve people outside of a specific geographic market is a big one. I live in Louisville, Kentucky, and so what I'm doing is very similar to what a fitness professional, a fitness business owner would do in a local market. I'm serving somebody to help them go from where they are to where they want to be. And if I had to limit the people I serve to just the greater Louisville area as far as fitness business owners, there probably wouldn't be enough clients to build a really successful business. But if I take away those geographic constraints, then I can really kind of niche down and go deep in trying to serve a particular market. It allows me to become better for that person because I'm becoming more of a specialist.
Hmm.
And I think that with fitness professionals, if you're not limited to, some 3 or 5 or 7 mile radius, and, you can kind of open things up to a broader audience, you can become more of a specialist. Whether you want to work with people who are wanting to be active as they age, maybe you want to work with somebody with some sort of chronic condition, maybe you want to work with somebody with a particular performance goal. I think it just opens up a world of possibilities.
I love to hear that. And it's so true. And I get bored pretty easy. So being stuck in one gym, one spot wasn't very appealing for me. And one thing I've been doing to try and get my name out in a national, international audience is writing. I've written articles for Strong First or put together ebooks like you have and on Amazon. And then you meet people and they're not in your city or even your state. And now, given the tools we have and the technology, you can serve them remotely, which is so awesome. So yeah, that's a very good point. What are your favorite tools to recommend to fitness professionals to coach or to provide services?
So, I mean, if we're talking primarily in this kind of online sense, I think Zoom is obviously something that's become very convenient,
Mm-hmm.
very easy for people to use. Um, I think that there's a place for Facebook, Facebook groups, Facebook Live,
Oh
Facebook
yeah,
Video, and so those two probably are at the top of my list, even though they're not necessarily industry specific tools,
sure.
because they're low friction, right? Like everybody at this point has experience with both of those. So they don't have to learn something new. They don't have to do something they're really unfamiliar with, which I think with technology, that's always a point of friction. Getting people to adopt a new behavior, dive into one more app, one more
Yeah.
membership site. Beyond those, I don't profess to have any, big allegiance or preference to any of the technologies. I probably gravitate more towards exercise.com than I do the things like Trainerize or PT Distinction or True Coach. And it's mainly just because I have a little bit more of a relationship with them. It's not, from the feedback I get from the other ones, all seems to be pretty positive.
Mm-hmm.
I like simple tools like Kartra and ClickFunnels and
Oh yeah.
ConvertKit, just things that are easy for somebody who may not be really, really tech savvy to get in and use. Heck, my wife uses Periscope, an app that had popularity a while back,
Yeah.
and then kind of fell off the radar once Facebook Live became very popular. But she uses it because of that, because she has clients that don't necessarily want to be on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So she'll just, go live and do something, and it has a little sound notification when she goes live, and all of a sudden you'll see, a half dozen or a dozen of her people pop on for some sort of interaction. So, I see technology as something that's designed to make solving the problem easier,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I don't think that being great as an online business coach, an online business owner or a hybrid type of business owner, I don't think technology is the solution. I think that you have to figure out what problems you can solve, how you can help people, what you're going to try to help them achieve. And then technology is just stuff to ideally make it easier to execute.
Well said. I dig that. And Periscope, that's pretty funny, but it works, right? That's what it takes. Whatever it takes to work.
And it's low friction. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody's already got the app on their phone. They press a button and they see her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no logging in, no, remembering your password for something.
Right.
I mean, it's all just really simple. And I think that, fortunately, one of the silver linings through all the stuff that we're experiencing right now is, people's apprehension to using some of these technology platforms to connect with one another. By the time all this is over, they'll be comfortable with all of these things like Zoom, or
Mm-hmm.
they'll be comfortable with connecting with people in, a Facebook group. They'll be past that point of adoption that, now it becomes a viable solution for them. Whereas in the past, they may have said, no, I can't do this. I mean, it's not just our stuff, right? I mean, telemedicine, there's going to be so many people, like, that stuff was going to happen anyway, right? Was it going to be 5 years before it was widely accepted? Maybe. But now we're fast tracking all of this.
It's so true. I had a teleconference with my doctor yesterday, and he's got the headset on and got the camera. Can you see me? Can I see you? And he had to learn this 2 weeks ago, but it's working, and it's making it more streamlined for him and for his patients. And you're right. The technology, it allows the service to get to the person who needs it. And we're all learning every day. I never thought about doing a Zoom training session, and now I love it. And like you brought us up in your podcast, I'm going to keep this moving forward no matter what happens. This is a great service, and I'm loving it. And I love being able to do it from anywhere. Get the laptop, you can go anywhere. You go to a park, set up a little hotspot. It's great.
Yeah, well, I think we're about to face a pretty important evolution point in the industry, not unlike we probably did back in, that 2008-ish range, where things had been almost exclusively one-on-one package-based offerings. And then, the emergence of group training and subscription or recurring revenue models started to really take hold and play a much, much bigger part. And now probably a bigger part than the one-on-one stuff does altogether in the industry. I think we're about to see, the next evolution that the industry is going to go through.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I was just going through school for training when that happened, right? When it went from a one-on-one really focused to like 3, 4, 12 people. And now for most of us professionals, that's part of our business, a big part of that business. And you adapt to it, you embrace it, and that's how things are. Evolution.
Yeah, so few of us remember the world without smartphones, right? It wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't.
God, how much things have changed just in that time frame. So, so I think that, again, there are going to be people that are eager to adopt this kind of evolution or eager to be part of it, and they're going to be good. They're going to probably be able to build a business that gets a little bit of a head start on everybody else. And then the ones who are slower to adapt are probably going to be having to play from a deficit.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. What's your take on more passive income? I've created passive income streams. Is now a time to work on that, or should now be a time to pivot and serve the people you are seeing in person?
I don't know that those two things are mutually exclusive, right? Like, I think that you can build things that have some degree of passiveness. But I also think that, if you are a practicing fitness business owner, I would be using this window of time we're in now to, once I've solidified my kind of cash flow situation with my current clients as best that I can, I would be setting the stage for, how am I going to thrive in this new social landscape that we're going to be kind of embarking on, this new economy that undoubtedly we're going to see, be around for a bit. I'm not going to suggest for a minute that I know exactly what all this is going to look like, but there's some of it that you can kind of read the writing on the wall. You can see that people aren't going to have such a black and white kind of dividing line between online and offline anymore. You can probably expect that the economy is not going to, stock market's not going to be what it was in June. What it was in January by June. There are going to be some things that, we're going to have to adapt to a little bit. And some of the other stuff, I've wondered about, but I don't know the answers. I don't think anybody does. Like, how will people change behaviors about social distancing at all over the next 12 to 18 months. Once they're allowed to kind of do their own thing, how will how will somebody feel about being in a group training class that has 30 people in it in a 2,400 square foot room? I think that some of that, if I was that person that ran a model that operated like that, I would have a contingency plan. I wouldn't necessarily say, well, there's no way they're going to do it, but I definitely would have a plan in place for being able to shift to maybe smaller groups per session, and having things that were available to people on demand as well, and just trying to anticipate as much of the change in behavior as you can.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Even before this whole COVID-19 thing happened, I had been through some pretty major stuff in my family with cancers and hospices and stuff. And so I realized then that if I'm not able to be in front of people and serve them, I've got to find more ways to create content, help people. And I remember when my sister had brain cancer, I was very much as a caretaker. I couldn't serve my people directly. So I wrote an ebook. I created an online fitness course. I made this website, Engearment. It got passive income from YouTube videos and from affiliate links and all these different sources of revenue, because I feel like if I put everything in one basket, that basket, as we just felt this month, it could go away. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's very important everybody has a contingency plan, at least one, maybe two contingency plans of how things could pivot and change.
Well, I think that, all the stuff that you just alluded to, I don't necessarily know that my accountant would call them assets, but I think of them as business assets. Mm-hmm. I am constantly trying to create more assets that have some sort of value that I can, that I can sell, whether it's entirely passive and, hey, it's all automated, or it's sitting on Amazon or something like that, or it's significantly more passive. I just have to send out emails to drive sales or whatever else. But yeah, I mean, I think that the way that I've always looked at this, and if anybody wants that rapid product creation course, I mean, I go through it in great detail there. Is really all this is documenting the things that we do well in person, so that somebody who may not be in person with us can still reap the benefits.
Absolutely. Well said. I love studying how you serve and how you send out helpful, valuable emails, and how you carry yourself with the podcast and the messages you have. And other people I've had in the show, like Pat Flynn and stuff, and they do really, really good jobs of, bringing people in, giving them something of value, getting them into the email list, and constantly being top of mind. It seems to work very well for you and for him and for people to do this. How long does it take to build that kind of network up, though?
Well, I think that, obviously I've been doing it for 15 years and have, a pretty significant number of people that I get to reach out to every day. But man, I mean, my first year in business that hit really significant numbers, I mean, there were like 3,000 people on the email list. It wasn't, it was less than a tenth of what it would be now. And, so I don't think that there's this kind of need to, hey, I'm just going to have to pay my dues for 2 years emailing before I reap any benefit. No, I think that you just put good stuff out there. You make a point to connect with new people. I almost think of it like, man, I'm just kind of building my own little city of people who are kind of, interested in the same things that I'm interested in. I give away something valuable in exchange for permission to start a conversation with them. And then I just send them something every day that hopefully makes their business or their day a little bit better. And, I keep offers in front of them so that, hey, whenever you're ready, here's some ways that I can help.
Oh, I love it. And it's so true. You're really good about sending daily helpful emails. And like we were mentioning earlier, I was reaching out to a lot of my fitness professionals here in the Denver area. And I was like, hey, I'm going to talk to Pat Rigsby tomorrow. And they all lit up because they get your emails. And I've been to my friends' gyms, they have whiteboards and they've got information from your products and services and emails on their whiteboards, along with their workouts and, other important messages. So your messages are getting out very far.
Man, that's a
That's
little
cool.
but it's
That's true.
I don't think that it's any different than a podcast or anything else. It's just like me personally, I try to find things that I can do that I can just kind of show up and be consistent with. That's why I've kind of taken to the podcasting format that I have, because it's something that I can show up and record a couple episodes a week and get out. And I also think that part of my strategy with the email stuff is pretty simple. I know that there just aren't a whole lot of people who will send something every day for 15 years. So,
There's not.
I'll be the tortoise compared to other people's, being the hare. And I just want to do things like, somebody can go knock off a Facebook ad in minutes now, right? But you can't really knock off doing what you're doing with a podcast without some effort. You can't knock off writing a daily email for years without some effort. So it makes you a little bit more competition resistant too.
I like that. Yeah. You're authentic and it's consistent. And you're right. Flash in the pan is a flash in the pan. It'll burn up quickly.
Well, and the other thing that I see through the frequency of communication, whether or not somebody needs to be daily, I tell a lot of my clients that 2 or 3 days a week's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Is everybody wants to talk about like, how do you qualify a prospect or whatever else. I'm like, man, I qualify them through email. Like, they're gonna like me or not before I ever talk to them. And by the time I get somebody on the phone to see if maybe we potentially work together, they've obviously gotten enough of communication from me that they must not be totally disenchanted with my message, or we wouldn't have got to this point. So yeah. I see that as like the best pre-qualification tool on the planet. We're already kind of speaking the same language.
Yeah. Oh, I dig that. And it's great because I've been getting your stuff for years and most of my friends have as well. And I sign up for a lot of emails just to study how people work. I love studying and reverse engineering and seeing what works for them and what might work for people I want to work with. But it's alarming to me how many people drop off. Like, they start big campaigns and then they just drop off. Like, failure, in my opinion, is just part of the game, right? You get rejection all the time. And I think most of us who succeed are just have thick skin and are willing to pick up the pieces.
I think that consistency and perseverance is probably, that combination may be the best competitive advantage somebody can have, because, you'll figure it out over time. If you persevere, if you're consistent, you'll fine tune things. You'll kind of dial in your voice and what you want your message to be, your communication style. And I may not be the most talented guy on the planet. I'm certainly not Hemingway when it comes to writing, but, I'll show up every day and keep playing to my strengths. And usually those things are consistency and some perseverance and trying to make things that maybe feel a little overwhelming or complex seem a little more simple.
Oh, I dig that. Yeah. That's well put. Very well put. Yeah, I'm not a good writer either, but I like writing. We'll keep doing it.
And guess what? If you write for 15 years, you get better, or you just get numb to the fact that you're not very good. So you keep doing it.
That's so true. Well, Engearment, we have 25 writers on staff of all different backgrounds, men, women, grandfathers, kids, all different abilities and ethnicities. And they always come to me, how do you write? I'm like, write me 500 words about your pair of socks. You know, if you can write about your socks or whatever, then you can write about anything, right? And just get comfortable writing. And yeah, just be authentic and personable. And because they all have important messages. Most everybody I know has got really strong passions for something they can share with the world. It's just they have that restriction, the brakes are on, and they're afraid to reach out and get vulnerable, I guess.
And what's kind of cool about the world we're living in now, for maybe a lack of a better way of putting it, is if you've got a message to share, you definitely don't need to be Hemingway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you can talk into an app and have it transcribed and edit it. And plenty of people have writer's block. Not too many people have talker's block, right? So,
Yeah, I know a lot of that.
so, I mean, we can get that intellectual property, that knowledge, that experience that we have, and we can, we can get it out and share it. And the obstacles that might have been standing in people's way 15 or 20 years ago just aren't there anymore.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Oh, this is super helpful stuff. I'm enjoying this a lot. I know the listeners are going to enjoy this too. About the current situation, one of the last podcasts you had was looking into resources for a small business. I did a little research Monday myself and applied for some things, and I'm just looking to see, like, other people like yourself, what you've discovered this week that might be good resources for business owners.
I think that this whole CARES Act has been a really, really kind of strong, powerful opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to help people. And, there are a couple different things people can do there. There's the economic relief loans, and then there's the payroll protection side of things.
Yep.
Now, I'm not an accountant, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a banker. There are plenty of documents available online that somebody could use to kind of compare the options. But I mean, this money is for small businesses. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so people not jumping on board with this are kind of missing the point, right?
Yep.
Like, this is for us. It's not exclusively for business owners that are on the brink of bankruptcy. Sometimes it's for business owners that, they can help foster a stronger economy as we come out of this. So, I've had a few people say, well, I'm in a good position cash flow wise. I've got good reserves. Should I do this? I'm like, of course you should do it, because you'd be a good steward for this money. And if that allows you to go out and employ more people, if that allows you to expand to another location, that's great for the economy. And in many ways, for the person who was really struggling before any of this happened, I mean, we want that person to be successful and get over the hump too. But, maybe the money in some cases would be in better hands with somebody who's already proven to be able to operate a great business, and they can go hire that other guy. So, I don't think that this is always about, hey, I'm 3 months behind on rent or whatever. Like, yes, for that person, sure, you should be applying for this. But if you're doing fine, well, our economy is going to need you to continue to do fine and to do better. So if this is a way you can, I mean, you're not going to get loan terms better than the ones that are going to be available here. So if, and I think for a lot of us, I've had 32 different businesses. I've had one business loan ever. I'm so used to bootstrapping everything. It's just not a natural instinct to, hey, I'm going to go borrow money and fund this. But I've got way too many friends that have built just massive businesses and had tons of success, and they've done it with borrowed money from banks, from investors, and they've never gotten terms this good. So if you can get that springboard to grow, to expand, to have more impact, then I'd encourage you to do it.
That's fantastic advice. And I had not even thought about that angle. For example, the boutique gym I train in is owned by a physical therapist. There's 8 or 9 trainers of us total, 2 physical therapists on top of that. A very in-person services right there, and can't do that. And he's such a great leader, 15 years in business. He's proven track record. He would be ideal for this because he employs, we're not all employed, but he runs a facility that provides services for people. And yeah, that's a very good point. And I totally missed that earlier. So that's very good advice, Pat.
Yeah, I'm telling everybody in my kind of coaching community, I'm like, go apply for this. I mean, we don't know who's going to get what, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we can control what we can control, and we can apply, and that's the
Right.
part of it that we can dictate. So apply, and if this puts you in a better position as a business owner, then our economy is going to be thankful for it moving forward.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I've talked to a lot of business owners outside of fitness. Like my friends run a nutrition bar here in town, and they're made by hand here in Denver, and they're applying for everything because they have employees too. And everybody who has a small business can benefit from this. And it took me 20 minutes to apply for certain loans on this. So there's really no reason anybody should not be doing it right now.
100%. I mean, I just went through the payroll protection stuff not too long before we got here. I mean, my accountant was kind of navigating all that with my banker, and I was just part of the conversation. But
Yeah.
I mean, getting all those things in order because tomorrow's when it can be official. But all the documents were already in hand because, yeah, of course, I think that. I mean, that's what this is for.
Yep. No, that's great advice. I did the payment protection myself Monday as well. So I'm looking forward to getting some answers. Just know where we are, right? It does not hurt to apply for sure. This is fantastic advice, Pat. I mean, this is going to help out a lot of people in a lot of industries. And it's great to hear from you. And 32 businesses, that's amazing.
It's too many.
I hear you. I've had probably 8 or 9, and so I thought I had a lot. 32, that's established.
It's a lot, but I mean, it's like anything, right? Like we're a sum of our experiences, and so I think it's been a great learning platform for me to go through all the things and that I've gone through, good and bad. Everything from local training facilities to franchises with 275 locations to certification education companies, consumer stuff. I mean, I've gotten to experience a lot of different things. Some of it went great, some of it not so great. But I think that coupled with the fact that I think I've always been a very hands-on business coach, like I think we estimated a while back, going back through like the last 5 years of calls, and then just kind of extrapolated that out. It's like, man, I've done like 35,000 business coaching calls. And It's like, if you're taking that and aggregating all that, I mean, there's just, it's not that, I mean, when somebody says, well, there's nothing new coming up, I'm like, all I have to do is experience what we're experiencing right now. Something new comes, but it just,
guaranteed.
I think it gives you a little more context to help you figure out, like, okay, how do we navigate economic changes? How do we navigate, having to lay some staff off, any of that? So, I think that, it's helped me a lot. It's also helped me kind of be reminded that, this too shall pass, and we'll evolve, and some people are going to come out of this, and it's going to be a springboard to be better. And some people are going to use this as an anchor to drag them down.
Well put. You know what? That's well put. I was speaking to a lot of my friends who were in the military, who've been through some tough stuff. I've been through a lot of loss myself. And most of the ones I appreciate, the strong ones who have been through this stuff, the darkness, is they've learned to find the silver lining and learn to appreciate and the learning process and come out stronger. And I think all the people listening to this hopefully will fit into that category. So yeah, that's well put, Pat. That's very well put. So our last question for you here. Are you guys on lockdown yet? Like on official, like stay at home?
I mean, they have done a variety of kind of degrees of lockdown for the last, I don't know, probably a couple weeks for us here. I guess this is the third week of some iteration of that. They've closed the state borders. I don't know, like a Monday, I think, where somebody couldn't cross the state border unless they like worked in an essential job over state lines. So I mean, we're allowed to go to the grocery store and that sort of thing. But I mean, I've worked at home for over a decade. My wife's worked at home for over a decade. So it probably isn't as disruptive for us as it might be for some other people. And my kids are like, one's 18 and one's 9, so they're not at each other's throat because they're far enough apart doing stuff. They're fine. So it's actually been it's been just pretty fine for my house. But in reality, we had dealt with a couple things. Like last year, from February till April, my son has the younger one has an autoimmune thing that really flared up, and brain inflammation, and he was out of school for a month, and it was just a really challenging time there where we kind of felt like we were on house arrest at that point to take care of him. It's like, man, this is way more at ease for us, these circumstances. And I think that we've gotten to a position where we're pretty grateful for the time together. The older one will be heading off to college in the fall, so more time with him. And I mean, the circumstances are what they are. So we're going to try to make the best of it and enjoy one another and try to support all the people in our lives, personally and professionally too.
Oh, that's beautiful, Pat. That's awesome. Well, my wife and I, we're in a 2-bedroom condo, and my second bedroom is a home gym, which is very fortuitous. Very fortuitous. So I've been filming some videos in there, and about this time last year, they started implementing work from home 1 day a week. So I built her little office within that space, and so now she's home and we're coexisting very well. We take turns on who gets to be the loud one. Like, this is my hour to be loud. And then she has her conference calls with her HR group, and we're enjoying cooking more together. The dogs, I think, are sick of us, to be honest. Like, I'm surprised they haven't jumped up right now, but it's been good over here as well. And it makes you appreciate all the little things. I've had podcasts with people in New York City 2 weeks ago, and they were the first ones to have the lockdown. And that was an eye opener, and like you said, this too shall pass. We're all doing the best we can. And the people like you providing great services, and I'm going to link to your 3 steps to business during the coronavirus and other resources that you've been sending out for our listeners as well. Is there anything else you'd like me to share with them to direct them to your resources?
Like the certification, the rapid product creation, I mean, those are free to anybody who wants them. One is just making that transition to serving people online, whereas the other is kind of, as we talked about before, creating an asset that can be relatively passive for you to make some income from. I think those are great. They can check out my podcast. To be honest, I think if somebody listens to my podcast, if they read my newsletter, they're probably just going to get more of what we talked about here, right? Like, this is what you see is what you get with me here. There's not a whole lot of flash, right?
No, but there's a lot of substance. And that's what matters. Well, Pat, all the best to you. Much love to you and your family. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the services you provide for all of us out here. It's much appreciated from me, all the people I know, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me, man. I was grateful for the opportunity to be on, and always happy to share and try to help.
I love it. Thank you so much, Pat. Take care.